All right, welcome to the study guide for the clouds. All right, some things I want to introduce before we get into it. The Clouds was written by Aristophanes. It was later translated by Alan H. Summerstein and was written and performed in 423 BCE. In this study guide, we will discuss the plot and themes being portrayed in the play, The Clouds. In addition, we will dive into the concepts being or behind the elements of tragedy and how it ties into the genre of this play, comedy of ideas. All right, let's get into the storyboard. So, first things first, Strepides is constantly worrisome because of his son, Phidippides, uh, because of his love of an expensive hobby, horses. He quotes, I'm being bitten all over, not by bugs, by horses, and bills and debts on account of the son of mine. Strepides comes up with the idea to send Phidippides to the thinkery to learn how to use words to get his father out of debt. If you care at all whether your father gets his bread, forget about horses and join them. Phidippides refuses as he likes his life the way it is currently. Strepides decides to go himself in search of a solution to his debt. So may it please the gods, I shall go to the thinkery and get taught myself. While Strepides is at the thinkery, he learns and experiences many absurd things. Socrates summons the clouds where they tell him, for favoring winds, ere how have shifted, luck don't always last. Strepides and Socrates hated each other. Strepides leaves the thinkery and tried to convince Phidippides to go again. Phidippides and Strepides get into a huge fight, a physical fight of that. He quotes, I'm being beaten up, rescue me. Towards the end of the play, instead of owning up to his actions, Strepides attempts to burn down the thinkery, where he quotes, do your job, torch, let's light things up. Some historical context behind the play. Like mentioned before, this play was written in 423 BCE and was performed at the city of Dionysia in Athens in 423 BCE. Clouds was awarded third prize at the Dionysia Festival. Author Aristophanes was born in 450 BC and died in 388 BC. Little is actually known about the life of Aristophanes outside of his extensive achievements from his literary work. He belonged to the Pandians clan in the city of Athens. During this period, the play was written and performed. The Peloponnesian War was still amidst. At this time, truce agreements were offered, but immediately denied by Spartan generals, uh, Brasidas. Um, Although The Clouds by Aristophanes is historically recognized as a comedy, there are many elements of tragedy in this play in comparison to some of Aristophanes' other comical focused work. There is still utilization of satire and humor in the play, but the utilization of the types of characters in the storytelling are what suggest otherwise. Strepides undergoes many emotions and his characters develop throughout the story. Towards the end of the play, the audience begins to recognize Strepides' revengeful side. The characters as well are well developed and interesting in the play The Clouds, which makes this literary art conform to one of Aristotle's elements of tragedy. Some themes that I recognize throughout the play include greed and foolery. Greed is one of the key elements that drives the overall plot of this play, as the only reason Strepides is interested in education is so that he saves money. This is greedy due to not utilizing the opportunities to expand your education for its intended purpose, but instead using it to argue your way out of debt and not coming to terms with your problems. Outside of the play being a comedy, Aristophanes placed symbols of foolery throughout the play to shine light on the philosophical aspects of the play and playfully critique Socrates throughout doing this in his writing. This can be seen when the students are required to do numerous absurd tasks to, quote, open their minds. Some contemporary examples that I thought were similar include The Wolf of Wall Street and Seinfeld. The Wolf of Wall Street was published December 2013 and was directed by Martin Scorsese. The Wolf of Wall Street could be a modern storytelling of the clouds, as both Jordan Belfort and Strepides are willing to take the easy way out of their problems. Jordan punks rich people into buying penny stocks, and Strepides is seen attempting to punk everyone so he remains debt free. Seinfeld, a television show produced between 1989 to 1998, writers Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, and many more. Although not the centralized theme of this show, episodes throughout the television show being on air feature many symbols of both greed and foolery. This sitcom was a huge comedy hit during the time period and emphasized on a key message with each episode. Some study questions that I have include: what might the insects be a representation and or symbol of? Why did Socrates choose insects? Who is the chorus portraying in the play, and what do they do to guide the play along? What drove Strepides to seek further guidance and assistance from the thinkery? What is the modern example of a thinkery outside of schools and universities? What genre should the clouds be classified as? Tragedy, comedy, or a hybrid? Is The Clouds written much like Aristophanes' other literary masterpieces? Is this why it won third place at the festival in 423 BCE? Some outside resources include Strepides and Phidippides are discussing Socrates is hanging in the air in a basket by Joanne Scamcuz, produced in 1564. It is unknown where the 2D calligraphy drawing is housed. Where the philosopher descends and begins, the induction ceremony for the elder student is what mainly kickstarts the story. Philosophy and Comedy, written by Bernard Feyberg. This scholarly article is a deep analysis into the comedy utilized in not only Clouds, but including Aristophanes' other work. Bernard ties in connections between philosophical treatment of this comedy. Socrates in Self-Knowledge and Aristophanes' Clouds, written by Christopher Moore. This scholarly article is significant to the play and the study guide as it gives a deeper understanding of Socrates and teachings. The Socrates sculpture, sculpted by W.V. Casey in 1950, a porcelain sculpture. This piece of art holds significance to the study guide and the play, as one of the most important moments in the play is when, although Strepides diminishes Socrates' fluent eloquence with his pestering inability to learn, Socrates is still quite capable of instructing Phidippides, Strepides' son, in the dangerous art of persuasion. After deep analysis of the play The Clouds by Aristophanes, unfortunately, I did not enjoy this play as much as some of Aristophanes' other work. Although the utilization of humor and satire within the play caught myself off guard and made me chuckle, and every now and then, I did not find the plot to be as interesting as his other plays in the book. I believe I feel this way because the causation of the play is strange to begin with. If your father was broke because he was trying to make you happy and allow you to do activities that you enjoy, wouldn't you be more understanding and be more willing to do what it takes to help him? Phidippides refused to go to the Thinkery as his father Strepides requested of him. He did this because he enjoyed life the way it was and was not willing to make compromises at the time. This is an example that connects back to the theme of greed. Phidippides is acting selfish in the sense that he is not willing to help his father for something that was all caused from his expensive hobby. In turn, it is selfish of Strepides to encourage and force his son to take matters into his hands when he himself should have confronted the situation earlier before it got too bad. Strepides was behind on many payments before he even approached or acknowledged the problem. Like mentioned previously in the study guide, I believe that some contemporary examples that reflect some of the themes of The Clouds, including Wolf of Wall Street and Seinfeld. I believe these are examples of modern storytellings of this play because of the common theme greed. More common in The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort scams and is always willing to take the easy way out of his problem. Although Strepides goes into the Thinkery himself with time, he initially encourages his son to go and not himself. This was a greedy action of him to do, as it is he who is in debt and not his son. For the 90s television show Seinfeld, in some of the episodes throughout the series, many symbols of both greed and foolery can be found. All of the characters on the show have been seen doing silly or stupid things, much like the students in the Thinkery. Strepides waits until the last minute to analyze his problems is also mentioned at the end of the play, where Strepides runs out of his house chased by Phidippides, who is beating him. Strepides demands to know how Phidippides can justify beating his own father. Phidippides, glad he's now intelligent enough to give an argument, says his father hit him as a child. Why couldn't he hit his father too? Strepides is baffled since he believes fathers have the right to punish their sons. Strepides blames the chorus or the clouds. He trusted them and they've betrayed him. The chorus claims Strepides brought his problems on himself. I found the fight seemed to be comical yet absurd in the sense that it is never okay to beat your children. Strepides has continuously tried to justify his actions throughout the play when he is obviously in the wrong. I believe he intentionally tried to pry himself out of his problems and point fingers in other directions as a way to cope with his own problems. In this aspect, this makes Strepides a tragic character due to these reasons. The addition of a descriptive and in-depth character is what made this play what it was. But outside of having good character development, I personally didn't think it was enough for me to love the play. Even though I might not have liked the play, there are many other things I have learned from this piece of writing along with making this study guide. At the beginning of the semester, we were asked, what is art? How can it be interpreted? Even though I personally wasn't fond of this play, it doesn't mean that others don't. Art is subjective and people have their preferences when it comes to that. We continue to study Greek theater and other art in order to get a better understanding of people's preferences and expression. This altogether gives us a better understanding of what humanity was and what it will become.